Okay, I'm going to do a quick demonstration of SQL Stream StreamLab, creating a streaming application in just a few minutes. I'll be getting my data from the USGS website. They have an atom feed of all the earthquakes over the past hour. This is what one entry looks like. I'll go ahead into StreamLab and open up a new project. StreamLab is a web application. It's running here in Chrome. I'll create a new application here. We have help information that could be dismissed and brought back, as well as this page, which shows the goals of the project. This serves as sort of an index into the whole application. Each of these is a link to a page that needs to be filled out. The user can also see the resulting SQL script here. It's empty currently because nothing's been done yet. At the top level, we want the user to tell us what sources they have. There are various sources of data they can use. We'll be using the web feed. And we'll put in the URL, tell it's an atom feed, and have it read it every 5 seconds. Now I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through the next step here while I add some, type in the fields. Okay, I've just specified the 4 fields that we want to pull out of that atom record. These are the XPath for each of these items. Now we found that when the user enters all this information about a source, it's handy to be able to immediately see whether or not they can get any data. So we have this right here to sample 5 rows from the source, and sure enough we are getting some data from the USGS website. So we'll take that source and use that in a guide, which helps us take a input and massage it into what output we want. We'll select that as the input. In the guide interface, we have the input and the output visible at all times. We could scroll up and look at only the output, because that's where all the action is happening. Down here in the lower left-hand corner is a script. It's currently empty. At the top are the various commands that the user can choose from. And here are the suggestions that are available to be added to the script. The topmost suggestion represents what the user has typed into the parameters. It's shown with an outline. But the system can also suggest additional commands that it thinks might help the user get to its final endpoint. In the background, in the server, there is a piece of code we call the scrutinizer that is watching the data as it's being streamed into StreamLab. And it's providing the information that's being shown on these pop-ups here. In this case, it's recognized that this column where can be split in a couple of different ways. Each case produces 2 columns. So we'll select that column to focus the suggestion list on that. And here are our 2 suggestions. We'll pick the second one that splits on spaces. And we now have 2 fields, 2 columns of data. There we go. The other data we want to get is in the title here, so we want to extract a portion of this record. In fact, we want to extract those characters. So just by selecting that text, we've filled in the parameters to the extract operation. All we need to do is to tell it the name of the column and add that to our script. Another thing the scrutinizer is doing is, I guess I spelled magnitude wrong, oh well. The other thing the scrutinizer is doing is it's looking at the data types that are flowing in each of these columns. The background color indicates the data type that the column is set to. The outline indicates the data type that the scrutinizer recognizes. So when they don't match, in this case, here, here, and here, the scrutinizer is telling us that this is currently a string of varchar 1024, but in fact it contains numbers. So we might want to typecast it to be a number. We'll get the suggestion list to focus on that by selecting a cast, and sure enough the top recommendation is to cast all 3 of these columns to doubles. And this is how we've massaged our data at this point. We can also look here at the SQL code that was generated. Now, there's not much analytics we can do with this data. There's not much flowing by, but we can go straight to a map and table dashboard, each of the items here on the script has a dashboard icon. This will allow us to create a custom dashboard. The map and table requires a latitude and longitude and some other values. So again, the scrutinizer helps us out because we can look at the where 1 and where 2 columns, and we can see where 2 can contain latitudes and bearings, while longitudes or bearings, where 1 can contain latitudes, longitudes, or bearings. That's because the values in where 2 are out of range for a latitude. So we'll take that guess. We'll assume that where 1 is our latitude and where 2 is our longitude. The value we'll get from the misspelled magnitude column, and then we'll get the ID here and add that dashboard. We now have a running application. We'll go ahead and save that and look at the dashboard we've produced. Now I'll quickly make some changes here to select a different map and set some of its values, so I'll speed through that. Okay, now we've set our parameters. We have our working application. We can see here that there are some earthquakes. There's a earthquake in Oklahoma, and as always there are some in California. And this is a complete working application. Everything you've seen here is running in S-Server live, all modified on the fly. What I'll do is I'll save this dashboard and grab the URL here. I can now go back to StreamLab and exit StreamLab so it's no longer running, and just go straight to the dashboard. So there you have it, live modification of a streaming web application or streaming data application in just a few minutes. Thank you.